You're listening to the Archaeology Podcast Network.
You're listening to the Archaeology Show. TAS goes behind the headlines to bring you the real stories about archaeology and the history around us. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Archaeology Show, episode 313.
On today's show, we talk about ancient tattoos, giant Roman feet, and new UNESCO World Heritage Sites.
Let's dig a little deeper and make more sites. I don't know. Go travel. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
It's another news show. We have kind of been skipping those.
Yeah, we've had other stuff to talk about, but there's been some cool news lately, so we figured it was a good time to have a news episode.
Yeah, we are, for those people that care, sitting next to, well, a bay that's kind of a river and a bay. The river leads into the bay, depending on what map you look on, but it's right next to Haines, Alaska. So
yeah. I think they call it the Chilkat Inlet or something like that.
Yeah.
Really beautiful. We're kind of in some nasty weather right now, so it's a little windy, but you know what? I'll take the wind if it comes with this amazing view. So gorgeous.
Just right along the road here, looking out on a beach and glaciers and waterfalls and snow and mountains, and I don't know how people live here.
I know. We were talking when we first got here, like this might be the first spot we've parked at yet where we had a water view, mountain view, glacier view, and waterfall view all from the same spot.
Yes.
The last one we were in was pretty close. It wasn't quite as much water view there, but yeah. I
can see at least like 5 waterfalls.
I know, right?
But there's way more that I can't see. So we can't see the tops of the mountains. It's crazy.
No.
Yeah.
They're covered by clouds right now.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they're quite tall if we could see them all. So
yeah.
Alaska's amazing. It's beautiful. I can't recommend enough coming here in some way, however you can do it, whatever that might look like. You don't have to drive here like we did. Take a cruise, take a flight, it's beautiful. It's well worth a visit.
The imagery we're seeing here is almost worth a tattoo.
Almost worth a tattoo. I don't know.
I think somebody who would agree with us is a 50-year-old woman from, well, the Altai Mountains in Siberia.
Yes.
Because I don't know how to pronounce where she's actually from. Pazyryk?
Pazyryk.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. So that would be the lead into our first article here. Good job.
Yep. It's called 2,300-year-old arm tats on mummified woman reveal new insights about tattooing technique in ancient Siberia. So this article is all about the technique, which is pretty cool. So, well, let's first talk about it. It's in antiquity. You can link to it in our show notes.
Yeah, so we've got the antiquity link in the show notes, which is the actual paper that was published. It is open source, so you can go read it and enjoy. It's definitely worth a look because of the pictures and stuff. But we also are linking to the Live Science article, which do a really good job of summarizing the high notes from the research as well.
Well, it's Christina Kilgrove.
Oh my gosh, it is Christina.
Yeah.
She does such a good job. She writes really great articles.
I've met her at a few conferences, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember if we've ever had her on the show. It's been a long time, but
it would be fun because I feel like she kind of does a similar, well, actually, we find her work so often and use it because she does such a good job of reporting on, the latest news in the archaeology world. So anyway.
All right. So this person was found in Tomb 5 and the tattoos are really well preserved, although not well enough to see them with the naked eye in some cases. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we will get to that.
She was part of the Iron Age, again, Pazyryk, I don't know if that's right, Pazyryk culture in the 6th to 3rd centuries BCE, which is a nomadic Scythian world pastoralists buried in permafrost kurgans. So kurgans basically like underground, what do they call them? Like a cyst almost. These are their burial chambers type of things.
Right.
Mounds, I think I read at one point. Some were.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So.
And the researchers used high-resolution near-infrared photography combined with photogrammetric 3D modeling to capture the sub-millimeter detail on these images.
Yeah. You can take a pause right now if you have the ability and take a look at the article, because the pictures of the line drawings to kind of pull them out are in there. And I actually shared this article with some friends of ours who have many tattoos and get many tattoos a year.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, one of these is definitely going to be my next tattoo. And I have no doubt the next time we see them.
I mean, it's fantastic. You really do have to see it to believe what you're seeing. But like, just like a quick description, if I could try anyway, you've got like two sort of caribou or reindeer looking antlered animals. And then they're clustered together in the center. And then around the outside are three cat-like animals. One looks like a leopard. The other two might be tiger type things because they've got stripes.
Yeah, it's really cool. And the imagery here, the ones that this cultural group likes to do, is described as animal-style motifs, including combat scenes, sometimes mythical creatures like a griffin-like beast, tigers, leopards, deer, and even a rooster on her thumb. Yeah, she got all kinds of things. But the crazy thing is that the initial excavators back in the 1940s actually missed some of these tattoos. It took the infrared photography to actually reveal them. Yeah.
And what's interesting about that, too, we can get into that a little bit more, but the guys that did this study are Gino Kaspari, Aaron Dieter Wolf, Daniel Rade, Mikhail Vavulin, and Svetlana Pankova. But the first three that we mentioned are people that have been on the Archaeology Podcast Network. And most recently, Aaron Dieter Wolf and Daniel Rade were on Tea Break last year sometime. So anyway, we've been familiar with their work. And one thing that they mentioned in their past show about different mummies, but I think this would probably apply in this case, is that when people excavated these remains so long ago, they just didn't think to look for tattoos.
Yeah.
Maybe if they were there and super obvious, sure, they would have noted that. But if it would have taken more intense study to find them, they just didn't look.
Yeah.
Because they just didn't think that people 2,000 years ago would have tattoos. That was that cultural bias that they would have had in the 40s, because nobody really had tattoos in the 40s.
Well, sailors did.
Right. Certain groups had tattoos in the 40s. Certain cultural groups, certain places in the world had tattoos in the 40s. But the white people doing the research in the 40s, generally speaking, did not have the tattoos.
Yeah, it was a different time.
Yes, exactly. Which is just another example of how cultural bias can enter into research, and it takes somebody coming in without that bias or from a different perspective to find something that is actually really interesting, which is what this group of researchers is doing. So I just love that part of the story too. It's not like I'm mad about it. It's fine that they didn't find it in the 40s. That is what it is. But now they're correcting that and doing this research, which is just great.
So there were tattoos on both the hands and the forearms of the woman. We'll get to that in a second. But the lines appear in a sort of uniform thickness and have a fine single point engraving alternating with multi-point tool marks. And this suggests at least two what they call hand poke techniques. Researchers propose that they use bundled plant thorns or spines bound with sinew or thread to form multi-point tattoo instruments.
Yeah.
So, all kind of like bound together.
Yep.
I did read in the article too that they saw evidence of like starting and ending lines, where they came back for like another session, like it wasn't all done in one spot, like today. I mean, it takes a long time to do a good tattoo.
A large tattoo. And these aren't necessarily super huge, but they probably did take time because they obviously were using plant thorns to do this work. So it took a lot of time to do it.
And apparently one of the detailed right arm scenes, and I think that might be the one that we're talking about here, the right forearm scene, that might be the one they're actually mentioning here. The variation in the complexity, because some of it's way more detailed and some of it has big empty spaces and just has the lines, either implies different tattooists, so they had different people doing it, or staged sessions, so they just kind of came back to it and maybe even never finished it. Who knows? Yeah. I mean, maybe that is the way it's supposed to look. I don't know. It looks pretty cool, all contrasty like that, though.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
And another thing that indicates is that, this was probably a specialized practice, right? Because it's done with such precision. And that would be comparable to the skill that modern tattooists have. So you're talking about formal training. You're talking about like an artistic sensibility. It's not like these guys could, no shade to any tattooists out there that do this, but it's not like they could put a temporary tattoo down on somebody's arm or transfer an image onto somebody's arm and then trace over it. Like, that wasn't really an option. I guess they could have kind of hand drawn on the arm ahead of time, but still, you're dealing with hand drawing or hand tattooing. And so the artistic eye to do this with precision is going to be super, super important.
Yeah. In several places, the tattoos were deliberately cut during the embalming process. And like, for example, the forearm tattoos were cut, the ones we're mentioning, but the hand tattoos were not. And they think, of course, that there might be some ritual significance to that because everything has ritual to it. But what they're going for is it's possible that some of the tattoos may have had a meaning in life, but were either modified for interment rituals or not intended for the afterlife. So they basically put a hack through it to say,
like,
this isn't needed.
Yeah. I was kind of trying to think about that. Like, so they had the tattoo on their bodies at some point during their life, and then they died. And during the post-death body ritual, whatever that was for these people, they marked through the tattoo somehow, or did they actually cut it off the, well, no, it wouldn't be there if they cut it off the body. So they just did some kind of marking to it in a way. Yeah. Like, why would you do that after death? The only reason would to be some kind of ritual around the death of the person. So interesting, right?
Yeah. They found these tattoos preserved on at least 7 different individuals from different kurgans across the same period in this region. And the reason why they're so well preserved is because of what they call ice lens permafrost in the kurgans, which are just unique conditions that allow organic tissue and tattoos to survive for thousands of years.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But this does suggest that this tattooing, because of the skill and the tools involved and things like that, was likely widespread in this culture, the Pazyryk, and likely across social strata as well.
Yeah, that totally makes sense, right?
Yeah.
These tattoos are among the most detailed and artistically significant examples of prehistoric tattooing that have been found so far. And of course, the authors want to do more of this.
Yeah.
Find more bodies that were recovered long ago by archaeologists that weren't necessarily looking for this or did not have the tools in order to look for it. Probably a combination of both things if it was done a long time ago. And yeah, just like keep studying it. But doesn't it feel like it like knowing that this could be there? I don't know. I if I was working at a museum that had this kind of collection, I would be running to my collection right now to be like, which of these could have this kind of evidence, and how fast can I get these guys to come and look at these remains?
Yeah.
So interesting.
Yep.
I love it.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we're going to take a break, and on the other side, we'll talk about how the ancestors of the red-headed giants from Lovelock came over from England. Back in a minute.
No.
Welcome back to the Archaeology Show, episode 313. And we're going to head over to England, like I said, to find the ancestors of the red-headed giants from Lovelock Caves in Nevada.
The answer to that is still no. And if you don't know what we're talking about, go search that on the website. You can listen to our episode about it.
Yes, unfortunately.
Long story short, there are no giants in Lovelock.
Unfortunately, we've talked about it.
Unfortunately, we have.
But it turns out there might be giants in England, or not. Just cold people.
Still not, but yes.
Okay, so
yeah.
This article is called, and it's from Smithsonian Magazine, Archaeologists keep finding massive shoes at an ancient Roman fort, and they have no idea why they're so big. They do, because the ideas are in the article.
Yes, they are. Like, it's one of these ideas.
Yes.
We just don't know exactly which one, but...
Right.
Yeah.
How can they even say they have no idea, and then they go and say what the archaeologists' ideas actually are?
Yeah. But I guess because... Yeah.
Everything's an idea in archaeology. There's nothing concrete.
I know. You can't say...
Except for actual concrete. Yeah. Hashtag Romans.
Oh,
okay.
Man.
So, archaeologists excavating at Magna Fort, which can't be a real name, also known as Carverin. It's a Roman-era site near Hadrian's Wall in Northumberland, England, and they've uncovered numerous massive leather shoes measuring over 30 centimeters in length, or almost 12 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty big.
Yeah. And to date, 32 shoes have been uncovered in total. And now 8 of those 32 qualify as super big, which would be exceeding 30 centimeters in length. And one of those is even 32.6 centimeters. So even like quite a bit bigger than
almost
that.
13 inches.
Yeah.
At nearby Vindolanda Fort, only about 0.4% of more than 3,700 measurable shoes exceed this size. So this is kind of a weird thing. Yeah.
It's a comparison, right? So like...
Well, but there's, by percentage, a lot more shoes from the sample set by percentage are showing up as massive compared to this other site.
Yeah, exactly.
Which would be more normal.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it so interesting. So the only thing about you have to be careful of with the Magna site is that there's only 32 shoes, whereas this other one has 3,700 shoes. So like a way bigger sample. That bigger sample is going to iron out all of the weird statistical inconsistencies that you might get. Whereas Magna, it's only 32. And so in this case, yes, 25% of the shoes instead of the 0.4% at the other site, 25% of them are this extra large size. It does make it a statistically significant size, but you do have to keep in mind the sample size.
Yep. So the largest sole actually compares to a US size 14 or 15.
Yeah.
Or I guess UK 13, 14, EU 49, 50. Why can't we all just get along? You can't buy anything anywhere.
Why do the UK sizes have to be like one number off from ours? That's so annoying. Sorry, I love you guys in the UK, but...
And then the EU is just like, we're going big.
I don't even know.
Numbers don't even correspond to anything.
What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Somebody will probably write in and tell us, and it'll be some dumb reason. If you do, we'll totally share it on the next episode. It
is some dumb reason, though. I don't care what it is.
I'm sure it is.
It's dumb.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah. Not that U.S. sizes are any more...
they're just as dumb.
Probable.
Yep, they're all dumb. Every one of them.
Every single one of them. Shoes are stupid.
All shoes should be measured in centimeters. We could just standardize it there, call it good.
Yeah, why do they have to have a number?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like putting XL and XXL and XXXL and medium and large on shirts and stuff. That's just meaningless.
Yeah.
It's actually meaningless.
It is actually meaningless.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, the shoes were found in...
Rant over. Moving on.
Shoes were found in waterlogged defensive ditches, ankle breaker ditches, trenches, preserving them in anaerobic low oxygen conditions so we can enjoy them today.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
And most of the soles consist of multiple layers of cowhide leather secured with leather straps, stitching, and hobnails, which are indicative of Roman shoemaking techniques, which is,
So they weren't aliens.
Nope, they weren't. We didn't think we were. They were, but in case you needed more evidence, they definitely weren't.
They were aliens as far as England was concerned. The Romans did not belong there.
True. I don't think they wanted them there.
Indeed.
Some tried really hard to get rid of them, like poor Boudica.
Yeah.
But
especially those really tall alien-looking ones. The giants. But anyway, such exceptionally large footwear has no confirmed explanation. It just means confirmed is
archaeology.
It's a dirty word. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you can't confirm anything at a site this old.
Generally with archaeology, a theory is confirmed with numbers. It's confirmed with a larger quantity of findings. If you keep finding consistently the same thing over and over again, and it's in the same circumstances, then it becomes more confirmed, but still not completely ever.
Yeah. One way, I was just thinking, like, because the Romans obviously had written language. So if they could find a tablet that listed all the soldiers working at this fort and their heights, like, they might be able to be like, oh, okay, most of these guys here were really tall, so they probably had larger feet, and that would explain this.
They could list their shoe sizes, too. This guy was an XVII.
Oh, wait, they actually could. I don't think that would be hilarious if they did that. But they actually could. There could be a tablet somewhere of somebody who kept track of the clothing that was worn by the soldiers. So, hey, I'm not going to say it couldn't happen. But
the Romans measured shoe sizes in cubits. Not sure. Or kadams. Kadams, that's from Indiana Jones. Well, from a culture, but anyway. All right. So one hypothesis here, and this is how archaeologists aren't puzzled, but a hypothesis is that the soldiers stationed at Magna were belonging to regiments with naturally taller individuals. They were just taller.
Yeah.
Yeah, perhaps from regions like Syria, Dalmatia, resulting in larger feet, because the Romans did have regiments that were from
different
areas.
Places.
Yeah, so they would just basically get along,
I wonder, too, if families ever got kept together in the same regiment. Because if you have taller genes, one family, like if there's 4 or 5 guys from the same family in this one fort together because they just happen to be related, so they kept them all together and they all happen to be tall. Bam, that explains your statistically significant shoe size difference. So
now the one I kind of buy is this next one, and that's cold weather gear. And this could have just been bigger shoes to accommodate multiple thick socks or foot wrappings or insulation during harsh northern winters. These guys are Italians, basically. They're not used to this.
Well,
Well,
true.
I mean, the Romans are. They conquered a bunch of people and brought them in.
They had the Alps, too, but they weren't necessarily in that area. But to your point, though, they were Italians. If they were up in the mountains of Italy and Switzerland at all in that area, then they would know how to dress for that kind of cold, which would include stuff like this. So
even if you're not possible. Like used to it because, you live in the mountains, you still have to cover up. And it would be a pretty easy theory to prove if you just looked at the shoes of people who do live in consistently cold environments. Did they have bigger shoes? And maybe that's where this hypothesis comes from.
Well, you can go look at your own shoes, right? Yeah. Like go look at your cold weather hiking boots and compare the bottom, like just stretch tape measure along the bottom, compare the bottom to like your summer sandals. I bet you there's at least an inch or more of difference between them, even in the same size shoe. Right. They just need to be bigger when they're for cold weather.
One of the explanations I don't really buy is that the shoes may have been adapted for individuals with swollen feet or injuries using exercise for dressings. I just don't know if you'd find shoes in that higher proportion. But again, maybe it's just they haven't found all the shoes here. But why have they found 3,700 at the site nearby and only 37 here? So I don't know.
Well, it sounds like the site nearby was a bigger site, so you have a bigger range of people too. There's yet another question that I want to know about. Did this fort, was it primarily like men manning the fort between the ages of 20 and 40, right? And so your shoe sample sizes can be skewed on the larger end for that reason. Whereas this other place maybe had families and stuff involved too. So you've got child size all the way up to larger men's size, like I would want to hear, this is where these kind of articles kind of fall short sometimes, right? Because they don't have all those details from the research. So they can't tell you the breakdown of all those different places, The
lead archaeologist on the study, Rachel Frame, I don't know if it's Frame or Frame, probably just Frame, but she expressed astonishment at the finds, noting that size immediately sparked conversation, of course. And then they brought in shoe specialist Elizabeth Green, who confirmed that even after potential shrinkages of up to 1 centimeter, these shoes remain significantly larger than typical Roman footwear at Vindolanda.
Yeah, and I think the shrinkage came in from the fact that they were wet when they found them, and they have to like dry them out in laboratory conditions so that they're making sure to preserve them. And so they do shrink a little bit after they reach their dry condition, but they still were larger than this other site.
Yeah, because of climate change, we might not find any more because the preservation conditions at this fort is under risk because of climate change. Drying conditions, it could just, basically, if these things dry out underground, they're just going to disintegrate.
Oh, yeah, they would just be gone. That's why, this is total tangent here. You're probably going to yell at me about time, but I'm going to say it anyway. We've talked about the like salvage operations that go out to where glaciers are receding and find the organic materials that are being revealed by glacier recession. Because if they don't find those objects quickly, as soon as they are revealed to the air, they will disintegrate and fall apart. Yeah. This is another example of that, just in a totally different environment, but same thing. If these items dry out, then they're done. You have to preserve them properly before they dry out.
Yeah. Yep. But this does give us insight into Roman frontier life. I love how England was a frontier at one point.
For Rome, it certainly was. Maybe still is.
Right. And they do say that shoes are rarely preserved in such numbers under normal conditions. It is just crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, first off, do these shoes show signs of being like old shoes? Were these trash pit shoes? Or why did they leave 3,700 pairs of shoes behind at the other site? Right? Like, what's going on there?
Yeah, that is...
These guys don't throw anything away.
Which maybe takes you back to the whole cold weather question, because if they got even one hole in them, then they're basically no longer good for cold weather because it's just going to let the cold and the wet in,
True.
So,
but at the other site, they were like normal shoes, most of them. And they still left them behind.
Yeah, that's true.
But even then, maybe they were just a bunch of small-feeted people and they were big shoes for them. Who knows?
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
So,
this article, isn't it so much more interesting to talk about than you kind of think it would be when you first read that article headline? I've really enjoyed just speculating over why these shoes would be so big.
Well, they're going to try to analyze the wear patterns and dimensions to reconstruct the likely foot morphology of the wearers.
Ken, I love that. What a super dumb study, but also really fun and could be really cool.
Right.
It's just, I love research sometimes.
Yeah, they're still dating the pottery and other artifacts right now to better understand the overall timeline and origins of the inhabitants at the site. So maybe some of the other finds could give an indication as to where they're from, and then they could go look at records over there and say, well, are these a bunch of tall ass people or what?
Yeah.
So,
and then, of course, discoveries like this, they challenge assumptions about the Roman population. Who made it up? Was it as homogenous as has been assumed in the past? And well, maybe we don't assume that because we know that Rome conquered and then took people into their society. So it just helps to emphasize that if they did come from somewhere far away, a place that had taller individuals. So super cool.
All right. Well, that's enough shoe talk for now.
Yeah. Seriously. Talked a lot more about that than I expected.
I know. Before I put my foot in my mouth anymore, let's go over to another segment. Actually, we're going to talk about the new UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Well, some of them. Back in a minute. Welcome back to episode 313 of the Bigfooted Giants podcast. So Rachel measured my feet.
Just in case you're wondering, I had to know. I know you have big feet, so I was like, are you a giant? Are you an XXL giant in the Roman world? It turns out the answer is yes. Yes, you are. Your feet or your shoes measure 13 inches.
I've been around a lot of Italians. None of them are tall.
You definitely don't have any Italian ancestry, though. So
no.
And you are pretty tall. You're over 6 feet. So
yeah. I'm just saying, it's possible that this like group of Romans was just like, I don't know, taller than other Romans.
They could have been.
Were these actually huge shoes?
I know.
Or just like 6 foot tall people?
Yeah, the fact that you're like an inch or so over 6 feet tall and you have quote unquote XXL feet. I mean, it could have just been a bunch of guys that were 6 feet tall. But anyway, okay.
All right.
Yeah, moving on.
Moving on indeed.
Yep.
All right. So there are 26 new UNESCO sites that were inscribed, including 21 cultural, 4 natural, and 1 mixed category. So UNESCO nominates so many sites per year, and they've been doing this for a long time. I think there's over like 1,200 right now.
Yeah, 1223, and that is spread across 168 countries.
Yeah.
And every year they do this. They have these meetings where they come together and the UNESCO bigwigs, whoever they might be, I guess they vote or come to some agreement or whatever on what property should be added to the list. And one thing I did notice that I read about the ones for this year is that they're trying to have a particular focus in Africa too. So I think a lot of these sites are in the Africa area, although not all of them for sure. In fact, none of the ones I've seen in this list are, but they are trying to make sure that they are including areas that are like third world countries, that kind of thing. They're trying to make sure they focus in those areas.
I would imagine there's a bias towards, I guess, so-called first world countries, Western societies, because you can nominate something to the list.
Right.
And people tend to do that.
Yeah.
You know, people in other cultures just by default don't tend to say, hey, look at our stuff.
Yeah.
You know, but a lot of people do. So anyway, so we pulled out some of the ones, and we may or may not get to all these, but go take a look at the list. The link is in our show notes. And they always have a decent write-up about each one of them too, so you can actually learn some stuff. But we might have to redo the bucket list one after reading this. But
yeah, right.
Anyway.
Because one thing I was a little bit sad about with our bucket list is that we didn't have that many like unknown places. Yeah. And I know that there's some really cool places out there that just haven't gotten like the popularity yet, but it's hard to know what those places are too.
True. And I mean, you kind of have to hit the highlights first, hit the big ones.
True.
And then you can start going off.
We had so many big ones that we still need to get to. Yeah.
So we're just going to go through a few of these and talk about them.
Yep.
Yeah. So this first one here is the Cultural Heritage Sites of Ancient Kutal, which is in Tajikistan. It's a prominent region of the ancient Sogdian and later Islamic worlds. Its archaeological remains include fortresses, settlements, mausoleums, and this reflects a crossroads of cultures and empires from the Achaemenid period through the Mongol era. So the site illustrates the region's role as a hub for trade, governance, and cultural exchange along the Silk Road. So lots of cool things to see there.
Yep. The next one is the Faya Paleo Landscape, and this would be in the UAE. And it preserves one of the oldest known archaeological records in Arabia, with evidence of human habitation dating back over 100,000 years. A very long time. So obviously super significant because we don't always have really great sites to represent time so far back.
Yeah.
The site's stone tools and ancient environmental remains reveal crucial information about early human migration out of Africa and adaptation to changing climates in the Arabian Peninsula. So again, super important because we're always trying to answer that question of how early humans moved around the world. Yeah.
Another one here from Italy is about preserving funerary traditions in the prehistory of Sardinia, the Janus.
Houses of the fairies.
Houses of the fairies,
so cute. I love that.
Yeah, these are prehistoric rock-cut chamber tombs dating from the late Bronze Age in Sardinia, and that's about 4,000 to 1,000 BCE. These tombs are carved into bedrock. They reflect complex burial practices and beliefs about the afterlife among Sardinia's early communities.
Yeah, those sound really neat. It sounds exactly like something I would love to see, because that's very old culture, but leaving behind a really cool funerary tradition.
Until you get to megaliths.
Right. The megaliths of Karnak and the shores of the Morbihan.
I feel like megaliths of Karnak is either a heavy metal band or...
That's a good name.
Or like a B, like, disaster movie.
B disaster movie. Okay, so in Karnak in Brittany is one of the world's most famous megalithic complexes, with thousands of standing stones, also known as menhirs, dolmens, and burial mounds that were erected between 5000 and 2000 BCE, which is kind of comparable to Stonehenge right there, right?
Those savages, they couldn't have done that.
Right.
Yeah.
The site's scale and alignment demonstrate sophisticated prehistoric engineering and ritual, and ongoing debates about their astronomical, funerary, and social significance. I feel like you could copy and paste that paragraph to describe any site with standing stones, because they're from so long ago. We never know what they were doing there or why they were doing it. All we can do is guess. And the speculation is honestly the most fun part of it. So like, go wild. But it wasn't aliens. Yeah.
We've actually been at this next one.
Yes, we have.
Well, so it's Minoan palatial centers in Greece. And this is like all of them.
Yeah.
Palaces, right? Because there's more than one.
Right.
But the Minoan palatial centers, primarily on Crete, which we were at just a year or two ago.
2 years ago. Almost.
Yeah. Represent the heart of Europe's earliest advanced civilization, flourishing from about 2000 to 1450 BCE. Palaces such as Knossos, which we were at, Phaistos, which we did not see, and Malia, which we also did not see, were centers of political, religious, and economic life, showcasing remarkable architectural innovation, art, and the earliest forms of writing in Europe, which was Linear A and Linear B. And I think we talked about visiting this palace.
I think so. It was amazing.
It was so cool. And it was half fallen down, too.
Yeah.
And it was just amazing what was not only still standing, but just the architecture and the designs and things like that. And some of the reconstruction, of course. But it was really cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed seeing that. And it was one of those cool, I don't know if museum's the right word, archaeology.
Like open air museum almost. Yeah.
Because they had removed a lot of the art into the museum that was in town, which we didn't get a chance to go to, which is unfortunate. But they had great reproductions of, so you could really get the eye or get the feel of what it looked like, 2,000 years ago when people were using it, or 4,000 years ago even. But yeah. Okay, so this next one is the petroglyphs along the Pangucheon stream in South Korea.
Yeah, petroglyphs.
Yeah, petroglyphs. So these are carved into the rock faces along the Pangucheon stream, and they date back to the Neolithic and Bronze Ages. They depict things like animals, hunting scenes, symbolic motifs, and, as rock art does, it's giving you an insight into the spiritual stuff that was going on with this culture. What kind of art were they doing? What were their spiritual beliefs? That's what rock art is. We think. We don't know, obviously. It's another one of the things where we're never really going to know, not until we get our time machine and go back in time and watch somebody creating that art. Wouldn't that be awesome to see?
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. So another one is in Iran, and it's the prehistoric sites of the Karamabad Valley. And this valley contains a rich concentration of prehistoric caves, settlements, and burial sites, chronicling human occupation from the Paleolithic to the Iron Age. And I mean, there's lots of stuff here. There's artifacts, there's remains, there's just demonstration of cultural evolution, things like that. But one thing I like about these UNESCO sites is, I mean, these could basically be made into national parks if they're not already. And it's not just like a building, although a building can be a UNESCO World Heritage Site. But some of these are just big expanses of areas, or almost like ideas and, collections of far-flung sites, but they represent a cultural unit.
Yeah. They bring a culture together across all of these places.
Yeah.
So it's giving a bigger picture to it, which is nice, because when you just go to one of them, you get that one snapshot.
Right.
So this next one is the rock paintings of Shulgan Tash Cave, and this is in Russia.
You're getting all the rock art.
I know. So the Shulgan Tash Cave is in the southern Urals, and it's famed for its Paleolithic rock art dating back over 16,000 years. That is some old rock art.
Yep.
And the caves paintings include mammoths, horses, geometric signs, and I mean, this is looking at the symbolic world of Ice Age hunter-gatherers, right?
Mm-hmm.
It indicates a more complex society than you might have thought before, because people are taking the time to create these images. So it just is really important when you find sites like this, hence the UNESCO World Heritage.
Yeah. All right. So the next one is Sardis and the Lindian tumuli of Ben Tepe, Turkey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ben Tepe.
Tepe just means like hill, right?
Yeah, basically. Sardis, the ancient capital of Lydia, was famed for its wealth and as the birthplace of coinage in the 7th century BCE.
Jeez, that's a long time ago.
The city's monumental ruins, including the Temple of Artemis and a vast necropolis of royal burial mounds, or tumuli, at Ben Tepe, reflected significance as a political, economic, and cultural center of the ancient world. I would say any place that like invented coins should be preserved.
Yeah. Yep. Very important. Love that.
Yeah. Because without money, would we even be here?
Well, I mean, would we be better? I don't know.
So they're to blame.
Sometimes maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. Next is the archaeological ensemble of the 17th century Port Royal or Port Royal. Port Royal. Okay.
According to Pirates of the Caribbean.
Ah, okay. Sure. Yeah. That's definitely a good source. So this is in Jamaica.
Isn't Port Royal like the center of Pirates of the Caribbean, the movie franchise? I
literally don't remember. I haven't seen that movie in 20 years.
Pretty sure it is. I might be called on that.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, okay. Well, this first description of the paragraph kind of gives credence to what you're saying. So Port Royal was once dubbed the wickedest city on earth and served as a bustling hub for trade and piracy in the Caribbean. So There you go. Probably. It was destroyed in an earthquake in 1692, and a lot of the city just sank beneath the ocean.
Wait, is it Atlantis?
Oh my God, we found it!
Here it is.
Here it is. Oh gosh, so this is a unique underwater archaeological site that is giving a good snapshot into the colonial urban life and maritime history.
Yeah.
But it is underwater, so all of the, harder parts of doing archaeology underwater come into play, of course.
Yeah. All right. So this next one's in China, and I think X's in this format are shushs. Mm-hmm. So Shishia, Imperial Tombs, XIA.
Or is it Chi?
Chi. I don't know.
I'm
going to go with Shishia.
Okay.
Because I like saying Shishia.
XIA.
Yes. So how many is that? Like 20. Anyway. So the XIA Imperial Tombs are the burial grounds of the rulers of the Western Shia dynasty. I think it is XIA again, 1038 to 1227 CE. So really not that long ago. It's shocking it's a site at all. Yeah.
Come on,
especially in China. I mean, that's like brand new in China.
Well,
so
yeah,
it's located near Yinchuan. The site includes massive earth and brick mausoleums blending Tang Chinese and steppe architectural traditions, and reflects the power and cultural achievements of this once mighty but now little known empire.
There you go.
Yes. So, and that's kind of the theme of UNESCO World Heritage Sites, is kind of like bringing not only preservation but awareness to different places.
Yeah, which is great. And it also comes with money potentially too, so that they can help to preserve these sites for future, future people. So yeah definitely. Yeah.
So that's all that we've got on our list. There's a number more. I think at least 10 or 12 more.
Yeah, there's definitely more.
Yeah, some of them are landscapes. It's not just archaeological and cultural stuff. It's just the things that exemplify something the world needs to be concerned about.
Yeah.
So go ahead and take a look at the show notes and check out the rest of the list. Yeah,
you might find that you're either near something or going to be near something that you didn't know about. So that's another great way to use the UNESCO World Heritage List, is to just kind of check out what's on it in your current area and also where you might be traveling to in the future.
Yes. We
need to do better about that, actually, because I'm sure that there are places that we are just driving right by and not even realizing it.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. We might be in one right now. Who knows?
Well, we kind of were the other day.
Yeah, we were, I guess.
St. Elias Mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a landscape, not an archaeological site.
I suppose not. Yeah, and it's a national park.
Well, it's national parks in Canada and the United States.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So let us know what you liked on the list. Let us know what you think should be on the list.
Oh,
if it's not.
Love it.
Yeah. I don't know how you're going to let us know that. Don't send me emails. No, send me emails.
Definitely send them to you.
Yeah. Actually, the better thing would be to do it is go to our Archaeology Podcast Network Instagram at archpodnet.
Yeah.
And then find the reel for this show, which will come out a few days after it typically, or some sort of posting that our fabulous social media person Tilly does. And
leave a comment. Yeah.
Yeah. Or tell us how much you hate it and you don't want to hear about where we're at anymore. Yeah. Archaeology only, please. All right. See you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to The Archaeology Show. Feel free to comment and view the show notes on the website at www.archpodnet.com. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at archpodnet. Music for this show is called I Wish You Would Look from the band Sea Hero. Again, thanks for listening and have an awesome day. The Archaeology Podcast Network is 10 years old this year. Our executive producer is Ashley Airy, our social media coordinator is Matilda Siebrecht, and our chief editor is Rachel Roden. The Archaeology Podcast Network was co-founded by Chris Webster and Tristan Boyle in 2014 and is part of Cultura Media and DigTech LLC.
This has been a presentation of the Archaeology Podcast Network. Visit us on the web for show notes and other podcasts at www.archpodnet.com. Contact us at chris@archaeologypodcastnetwork.com.